What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Today, we're going to be doing a live stream, basically watching and recapping the Chris Ballard presser that happened earlier today. I have a special friend with me. That is Rondo, the co-host of the Say It Again Colts Beat podcaster at the Say It Again Network. Sir, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling better than obviously early on in the week, and we're gonna get right into that. Obviously, hearing directly from the man himself. So, let's, I guess, struggle through this.
Yeah, it'll be a struggle because I remember I watched like the first minute or two of this, and just in case anyone's wanting to know, it is an hour long. We will be kind of stopping in and out to kind of talk about a few points that we notice throughout this. And like I said, man, if you see something in it that I don't, be sure to let me know, and then I can pause it. We can talk about it. And I'll just let it be known for everyone that is going to wonder about the screen and the audio and everything. I did watch the beginning of it. It is kind of chippy at times. The audio kind of cuts in and out. The broadcast itself, I don't think was very strong at the very beginning, and then it looks a little better as time goes along. So we'll just get through this together, and we'll just see what we can do here and there. But thank you guys again for tuning in. This is the Chris Ballard presser from earlier today. We'll just go ahead and hop into this, and we'll react to it.
Eventually, it'd be nice to eventually get back to normal. This 2 years of COVID and us dealing with COVID COVID fatigue is real. That's real. Anyway, thank y'all all for being here.
Now, I kind of want to mention that first point there that he said it. I don't know if he's implying this. I know a lot of people mentioned it early in the week after everything had happened. I know a lot of people were saying, how much did COVID have to do with some of the key players, like maybe being more fatigued than what they normally would be? Do you have an opinion on that? Because me personally, I was saying I don't really believe that should have been enough to make the game go the way it did, but some people believe it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've kind of seen it with other teams. Like, obviously, anyone who plays fantasy football, which I'm sure a lot of people do, I'm sure a lot of your viewers do. It obviously hit people's teams these past couple of weeks, and even when you got players back, like for example, I got Tyreek Hill back. He goes for 2 targets, 2 catches, 19 yards, and then after the game, they said it was fatigue reasons as to why he wasn't featured as much in the offense. So could that play into it? I'm sure it can. I know others are going to point to the fact of lack of practice, which I would say that's a catch-22. On one hand, there's supposed to be veterans, but on the other hand, I kind of understand. But I see where Ballard's going with it. Again, I'm sure he's going to talk about later about it not necessarily being an excuse, but I can understand it being a factor.
Yeah, and obviously he didn't mention it as the player's perspective. It's more of just the last 2 years dealing with this COVID stuff is definitely different. But I felt like that was kind of a hidden kind of secret as to what everybody's kind of been saying. But yeah, we'll go ahead and keep going here.
Didn't expect to be here this week, but it's reality. It's where we're at. Not half pissed. Upset because of nothing. On game day to know. Emotional on game day. Don't like to lose. It's not fun. It's not acceptable. And we won't accept it. The expectations are higher, and especially where we're at in terms of, Frank and I have been together for 4 years and been building this. The expectations are high. We accept that. And we won't, I won't sit up here and make excuses of why we got our ass beat in Jacksonville, because that's what happened. We got our ass beat. It happens, but we got our ass beat. And in such a, and it's magnified because of the moment. The moment was big. It was for a playoff spot, and it's one that, as a team, we thought we were good enough to win, and at the end of the day, we didn't. Ultimately, that falls on me. That falls on my shoulders. I think the worst thing you can do is start pointing blame, making rash decisions after a season and after a loss that was so hard. Look, there was numerous times during the season. If you just think back, we had our opportunities. I mean, the Ram game, we got the ball inside, I think the one twice. We don't score. Baltimore, big lead. We end up losing the game. Tennessee, the ball's we go to overtime and we throw a pick and lose it. Tampa, we tie the game back up and they go back down and score. The Raider game, I mean, I know Jacksonville was a bad loss, but there was other opportunities during the season that we had a chance to finish it out, and we didn't. We finished.
Yeah, so that was a point that I tried to make several times over the last few days to people is, recency bias, especially for fans. I'm sure you understand it. Recency bias can a lot of times play a huge role in something that's maybe missing the bigger picture. The bigger picture of this was that, the Colts had other opportunities this season where they could have separated themselves from the rest of the pack, and they didn't. So, I mean, do you feel that that same way, or do you think that that kind of overshadows? I mean, because from a fan's perspective, I see where he's coming from there.
Yeah, obviously, he brings up a bunch of, you could call them bad losses, but I mean, with some of that was during that first stretch of season where we started off 1-4. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but at least for myself, and I know many other people, we came into those games expecting to lose, or at least I know I did. Mm-hmm. So I think where the recency bias comes in is that you look at the bad losses to the Raiders and the Jaguars, where going in, how we were rolling, and essentially win and get in, best destiny you can have, and you don't get it done. What he's saying is absolutely accurate. The games he went through, the Titans, the Ravens, the Rams, all those games could have been won. It hurts more in these most recent games because the Jaguars are bums. They have the number one pick. That should have been. We were 14-point favorites going into that game. That should have been a cakewalk. Now, the Raiders are a playoff team, but that's another game where we should have taken care of business. It hurts more when you don't get it done against middling opponents as opposed to contenders. I'm okay with losing to the Bucs. They just won a Super Bowl. I'm okay with losing to the Rams. Again, they're contenders. But the Jaguars and the Raiders, that's where the problem lies.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, you're talking about over the broad stretch of everything. You're right. With a bunch of games early in the season, even against Tampa, when this team was starting to figure it out a little bit, even against Tampa was favored we're not favored in that game. Most of the games early we were expected to lose, and, we ended up losing, but the way we lost was bad. And, Ballard said, this team, the way it ended, putting the blame on him, I wouldn't expect any other answer from someone like Chris Ballard. He's obviously going to mention it, but ultimately he's not playing on the field and he's not in the locker room when that's happening. And he's also not coaching the team when these games are being played. So, I get why he's saying it, but I'm chuckling at that to hear him say, "Oh, that's on me." Ballard, I mean, you've missed on some spots, but to say that how this team performed in the last 2 weeks when it should have won, and been in the playoffs, that's not on Ballard, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think and unless and maybe it comes to later. I doubt I'm just gonna be ridiculous unless he had a deal for Stafford and he chose to pass on it. It's not your fault. I feel like you put a very good team on the field on paper. Like you said, is there positions that we could be better at? Sure, absolutely. But yeah, that this end result ultimately comes down to the players.
Yep, absolutely. And thank you to everyone that's watching right now. We got 70 people in here. I see my brother and a couple other people in here. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for watching. Just kind of breaking this down. We're only 2.5 minutes into this. We're going to keep going here.
2-5 in one-score games. And, a little bit of that is random. when you just kind of look at the history of it. But, you got to come out on top of and finish with a better record in one score games. Ultimately, it falls on my shoulders. And it's something that will work and go to work and ask some very hard, tough questions over the next month and a half to fix it. And I don't want to ignore, look, I don't want to disrespect Jacksonville either. This is the National Football League. This is there are no layups in this league. No layups. You can't. Every team can beat your ass. Every team can beat your ass. And they came out and they beat our ass, plain and simple. Their coaching staff and their players did a tremendous job.
I said that in my video 3 days ago as well. If anyone wants to check that out, that was pretty funny.
They're on scholarship too now. And just because their record is what their record was at the time, they came out and they performed, and we did. It's simple, but it didn't just come down to that one game. There was other games where we could have fixed the game, and we just didn't get it done. Now, saying all that, I don't want to ignore the good either. Let's just think, sometimes you can go back to reflection points, and this whole thing, one team comes out a winner at the end. Everybody's disappointed at the end, except for one team. And sometimes if you go back and look at reflection points during the season, how you felt, where you were going, there were some times we felt really good. I think you'd all agree after Christmas night, after that big win in Arizona, we all felt really good about where we were going. And we just ultimately didn't finish the job. But we had some really big wins on the road this year. The win in Frisco, in terrible weather. You go to Buffalo and win, which is a really hard place to play. We have an unbelievable night here in Indy to beat New England. It was incredible. Our fans are incredible. And then the Christmas night win versus Arizona. So we did some good things. We had players who did great things. Jonathan Taylor established himself as one of the best players in the league. Darius Leonard, reason we re-signed him. The guy had a defensive player of the year caliber year. Michael Pittman emerged. There was a lot of really good things that came out of this. But ultimately, we didn't get it. One thing that I've thought a lot about this, failure, we live in a day and age where when you fail, you're done. Cancel everybody's ass out when they fail at something. And we won't run from the failure, but what we'll do is we'll grow from it. Your greatest moments of growth in anything you do come from failure. They don't come from your successes. It's easy when it's sunny outside. I promise you, it is easy. That's when, everybody shows up when it's sunny. Everybody jumps on board. But when you have a moment of failures, when you really find out who's with you internally, if what you're doing is right, and we'll examine all of that, but you can have also your greatest moments of growth if you use them. But you have to use them. You have to accept who you are. We're not an 8 football team. That's who we are. That's who we are. I put that team together, and that falls on my shoulders. We'll spend this month. We won't overreact. I've got to let the poison get out, and it's not out yet. And then we'll make a thorough evaluation of everything we're doing. We do that anyways, even when we win. And we post-mortem everything. Every decision we make. We don't do it like y'all do in the moment where you make a decision and all of a sudden everybody judges that decision on if it's good or bad. You wait until the end, and then you post-mortem everything you do. That's why we have processes in place. That's why we take copious notes on everything we do, during the time of why we made the decision. And was it right or not? And was there a flaw in the process? And we're not perfect. We're not. We screw things up. It happens. But what we're not going to do is turn a blind eye and have our emotions involved where we're not able to really ask honest, hard questions about why it occurred, why we made the decision. If we made a bad decision and fell short in an area, why did it happen? What were we thinking at the time? And where do we need to go to fix it? That's the great thing about this league. Great things about this league. There's always a solution. Okay, there is. It's our job to problem solve and find the solution. It might not be the perfect solution. Might not be perfect. It might not be the long-term solution, but there's a solution every year. There's a little timing and luck of getting sometimes long-term solutions to certain positions, but there's a solution for that year coming up. And, that's what we got to continue to work towards and through. Okay?
So interesting there. A bunch thrown. Obviously, kind of mentioning how, again, throwing shots at, really the fans and the media all saying that, there's not an easy solution to how things are done. Decisions are made. You have to live or die by the consequences of it. It's the NFL. Not everything is perfect. We talk about it a lot and we hear it a lot from on this podcast, the armchair GMs, that sit around and, they claim they know what's best. And, it's easy to make those decisions when you're playing, Madden instead of playing with real people and real pocketbooks. So, did you think he was pretty animated there, man. That's pretty animated compared to what I usually see from him.
Yeah, and like I said, I love to see it, honestly. Obviously he takes the job very seriously, takes what he wants to do very seriously. And I agree with you completely on the armchair GM thing. It's a whole lot easier when it's not your and my money, or our job on the line, sitting in the background trying to decide things. And even then, I can speak for myself, if I was a GM, I would have missed because 2 years ago, I'm not signing Phillip Rivers, I'm signing Cam Newton. This offseason, I'm signing Kenny Golladay. And they were both terrible. So obviously there's a reason why you and I are sitting where we are, and and Ballard's in his seat. He cleared, because I was definitely bashing him for not touching the receiver free agent market. But if you look around the league, who was probably the best free agents to pick up for the receiver position? Emmanuel Sanders in Buffalo, maybe. There weren't many guys who came off the market, went to a new teams, and kind of exploded. A lot of teams did what they had to do with either guys they drafted or the guys they've had on their team. So there's a reason why he gets paid the money he does, where he's sitting in the position that where he's at. But obviously, going back to how you said he's definitely animated, he's got to be, because we saw this season. It was a slow start, but once we hit our groove, we were a team that nobody wanted to mess with. At least defensively, the offense was okay. It was holding its own. I don't know about you. I know for me, I said Carson Wentz doesn't have to come in and be the savior. He just come in and essentially not mess it up. And, we saw what happened those last few weeks. He actually ended up messing it up. But the team as presented on paper should be a playoff team. Yes. Obviously we were right there, so I'm glad Ballard's pissed off. By all means, he should be pissed off. And hopefully this means that we're going to get some changes this offseason, whether that's personnel via players or coaches, we'll see. But I know a thing for myself is the last 4 years is how he's lacked of not hitting the market. I hope he attacks it this time. And again, don't go crazy. There's a couple of guys I'm singling out. I'll wait for that later to reveal them. But yeah, obviously something's got to change. I think something's going to change. Like I said, the fact that he's pissed off, it's a good pissed off.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he mentioned here just a second ago, talking about short-term solutions being the right or the wrong solution, and, changes being made in short-term and long-term solutions. What does that imply to? Maybe that's a hidden shot at, some guys who are going to end up, getting replaced here. We'll see as this goes on. Obviously, we're only a few minutes into this, but yeah, we'll keep that in mind as we move forward here.
We'll be here a while. Far away.
Cannot hear a question at all. Maybe that's by design. I have no idea.
All right.
Oh, come on. Are you serious?
Well, we made the decision after Phillip retired, and we made the decision to make a move on Carson. At the time of the decision, we felt good about it, and I still don't regret the decision at the time. I'm not gonna just sitting here today, just so y'all know, I won't make a comment on who's gonna be here next year. That's not fair. That's not fair to any player. I thought Carson did some good things, and there's a lot of things that he needs to do better. You know, our passing game has to be better. I mean, with a run game, with what Jonathan Taylor and our offensive line was able to do in the run game, Preston. And, you know, I think the second half of the season, you know, you go through the season and, you know, I always think of it this way. Like that first month is kind of an extension of training camp. And you're trying to figure out, especially when you got so many new pieces, you know, we had a lot of new pieces and a lot of new pieces that were hurt in training camp. So you're trying to figure out who you are, what you do well, and you're still improving. And then, you know, the month of October, you're plugging holes, you're still getting better. And then you hope by the time you get to November and December, you've figured out what you need to do to win. Like this is, and I think Frank and the staff did a really good job. And look, it was freaking working. You know, we got on a roll there and we're playing really good ball up until the last 2 weeks of the season. And look, I don't want to take anything away from the Raiders either. They played their asses off and beat us too now. And they down the stretch, they had to win every game to win it out, and they did. And so credit to them. But I don't think you can – I think y'all know me by now. I mean, we got processes in place. I'm not going to overreact to the end of the season acting, ending the way it did.
Gosh darn it. I really hope this isn't going to be a continuous issue.
I mean, we embarrassed
Gosh darn.
City. When you put a performance like that out there, and it happens. Like, it's just a moment of when it happened to us. If you look, Buffalo when Jacksonville got beat. You throw up it happens in this league. There's too good of coaches and too good of players. Even when a team's going south, they can beat you. And it happened.
It happened. It just wasn't at a time we needed it to happen. That's basically it.
I don't know if that's alarming. I don't know if it's alarming. I think the one thing that I think you know about us is, we're gonna evaluate and do what we think is the best thing for the team and the organization, and we do that with anybody. And it's just kind of how we roll.
I assume they probably asked about Wentz's. I assume they asked about Wentz's digression towards the end of the season. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought a lot about that, Kevin. I still believe you win the game up front. I think that's real, and that is something that I don't think my belief system will never change. I mean, you got to be good on the O-line, D-line. You have to be. You have to get good quarterback play. All right, and then your rest of your playmakers have to do their jobs. But excuse me, you can move forward with deep conviction that you have. I was listening to somebody talk the other day, and he said this, and I thought it was really good. You can have really deep conviction how you think things need to be built and run, but also have the curiosity and flexibility to change along the way. And I think we've had, because we are a very curious group, we ask questions, we want to grow. All right. And I think we've had some flexibility moments. I mean, look, I know people think we haven't done anything, but look, we did. I mean, look, we traded for Buckner, we traded for Carson. Like, we've made moves, and whether they were right or wrong, we've made moves to make the team better, being aggressive. So we'll examine that. But the one thing I will not change on is O-line, D-line. You went up front. And I thought he was showing, up until the last 2 weeks. And it's hard to overcome those two things when you're not good. It's hard.
So with the offense and the defensive line thing, obviously this organization is very committed to that, almost sometimes to a fault. We talked about it a little bit in the video yesterday. Now that you probably are going to start looking at left tackle options, unless you get Eric Fisher for like a team-friendly deal, which I doubt is going to happen. It's a wonder, like, do the Colts make a decision, to, maybe potentially move some guys away who have already been paid big money to try and invest in this team? I don't know if you agree or not, but the people have been asking, about the possible move of a guy like, Ryan Kelly or of a Quentin Nelson, either being traded or moved to left tackle instead. Because, you gotta learn when to be able to invest money in other positions as well. So do you think that this team is done improving on those lines, or do you think that they're going to potentially move some guys around to help the rest of the team out?
Yeah, no, look, as I said, Nelson's not going anywhere, and I mean both team-wise and position-wise. He's going to stay at left guard, and he's staying a Colt for life. You don't get rid of a guy like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you'll do multiple things. One, say goodbye to your locker room. You get rid of a high draft pick who's come in, done his job exceptionally well, and instead of paying him, you ship him off. Like say absolutely goodbye to the locker room. Now you look like a hypocrite because he always preaches about paying and keeping your own. Same goes for Kelly. Same goes for Smith. Those guys aren't going anywhere. Now Fisher, again, a very up and down year. If he walks, he walks. I don't think anyone's gonna be mad about missing Fisher. Yes, it leaves a hole at left tackle. It really makes you more so appreciate what Anthony Costanzo was, because I think we all underrated that man. He was clearly a top-tier talent at the blindside tackle. Now, especially with this year, you had a revolving door left tackle, but even then he found some gems. Chris Reed, Matt Pryor, they played well in spot starts. Is that good enough for them to be a full-time left tackle? Remains to be seen. I believe Glowinski is a free agent also. Does he come back again because of how Pryor played? Again, remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the mainstays, Kelly, Smith, Big Q, those guys aren't going anywhere. Like I said, unless Ballard gets an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah, I agree.
Tend to lean more towards that. Look, the one thing I know we could do, and we've done it consistently, we're like the last couple of years in scoring defense, I know we finished in the top 10. I know we'll take the ball away. We've done that every year. Whether we finish first or second in the league every year, maybe not, but we'll finish in the top 10 because that's who we are. And we got guys that can do that. I know we're going to be able to run it. I mean, we got a really good run blocking O-line without question, and we have a staff who schemes it up really good, and we have a runner that is really a special player, really special. And those are things I know are real and help you win games in this league. Our passing game has to be better. There's a couple things that I know we have to be better at. And look, this falls on me. Our passing game has to be better. Just has to be. And on defense, we've got to be able to rush the passer better. I mean, it's a passing league. You got to be able to affect the passer, and you got to be able to throw it. But I'll say this: I don't think. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's what we ended with. But I think it always lies somewhere in the middle. It's never as bad as it seems, and never as good as it seems.
I think it kind of is irking me a little bit that hasn't once said that the coaching staff at somewhat blame here for how the passing offense hasn't, done its job. Even Reich stated that was an issue that he and the coaching staff didn't do a good job of doing. I don't know why he's so quick to not mention their name at all.
Yeah, it's a little annoying, especially, we've seen it really whenever you're scrolling through and you've seen the fire Reichs and whatnot, it's like, obviously you're not going to fire Reich, but where I can understand is he's got to give up play calling, because there are times where it's very questionable what they're doing. And by all means, we can point to the talent, because I think we can all be realistic and see that, outside of Michael Pittman, none of our receivers are starting on other teams. So yes, you absolutely do need help on the outside. Again, I think Rivers, the difference between Rivers and Wentz showed you how much of a gap it is between a potential Hall of Fame quarterback and a guy who was just a career starter in a league. Rivers is going to elevate guys. Wentz is going to need more and better weapons. But I agree with you. Like, the coaching staff, obviously, you guys know what you have. You've got to tailor the playbook to make it work with the positions you have. We don't have these elite 1-2 punch receivers like the Bengals, even the Titans of the leagues. We have Pittman, and we have a bunch of guys who are really 3s and 4s on other teams. We're a run-first team. You have to play around that, but there is a way, obviously, to get guys open, and it does, like I agree with you, it comes down to scheming.
Yeah, 100%. And then it just comes down to executing that scheme. Carson was definitely not definitely not good down the stretch at doing that. They got away from one of their most dynamic offensive playmakers in Nyheim Hines. You got away from using him a lot this season. There's a lot of things that need to change for sure here.
When we were 9-6, and everybody's shouting it up as we're a Super Bowl team, that's probably over the top, and then now we lose these last 2 games and we just suck. Well, that's probably over the top too. All right, backup quarterback. Yeah, we had, with Eason, and, unfortunately we ended up releasing him, but we like Sam. We like Ellinger. He's made of all the right stuff. We thought he had a pretty good preseason. And, we think he's definitely a guy that, that's made of all the right stuff. Whether he's good enough, we still got to find out. And then, having Hundley was a little bit of a surprise, but when we got him in here, we just thought his skill set fit well as a backup because he can run and create. He's a vet, and he is an unbelievable pro. Like, every day he is in the building, working, studying. He was really great for the group. And then in terms of the kicker, like Rod was, that's just, God dang, man, he gets hurt in pregame versus Baltimore. He gets hurt in pregame and, has a bad game because of it. It is what it is. He missed the extra point, missed the game-winning field goal, gets a field goal blocked. And, we put him on IR, and we bring Badgley in. Badgley ended up having a pretty good season. I wouldn't say elite, but it was good. And it never really, stung us. So we'll work through it. We still think Rod has upside. I do. And I like Badgley. So we'll work through the kicker spot as we go. It's too early to say exactly what we'll do, but we like both of those guys. Hey, Greg.
That'll be a hot debate. Oh, great. Greg's on here.
I think that's a good question. I think we'll look at everything, and there's always some, it's like I said earlier, there's solutions, sometimes they're not ideal, but there are solutions, sometimes they're long-term, sometimes they're not. But I think we'll look at everything.
It looked like some indecisiveness there on that comment.
I think it just depends. I mean, I would tell you Buckner, he wasn't a free agent, but that costs a lot of money, Bob, and he's one of the top paid D tackles in the league. So whether it's tagged a guy we traded for or whether it's a guy we, signed as a free agent, I think are different. I mean, I think y'all know my philosophy on free agency, and I think it all depends on who the player is and does he fit us. Just to go sign a free agent because y'all are clamoring for one. I think we know some of the suggestions in the past; those would have been really good. So I think it's a case-by-case basis on what we want to do. I don't think signing big-name free agents always equates to winning. It's signing the right free agents that equates to winning. Absolutely.
That's a funny comment there. Signing the big-name free agents is not always the right move, just signing the right ones. Well, what's the right ones to you? That's the big question here. It's not, obviously everyone sees the big name. Whether or not you see it as the right move, that sometimes is Chris Ballard's downfall is he thinks that, he thinks too much into it, in my opinion. We talked about the edge rush department last year. How many edge rushers were really freaking good? Having, Hassan Reddick, having a 13 sack season for the Cardinals and, or for Panthers or whoever it was. And, a bunch of these other guys, and we could go on a bunch of these, that's the motto, man, that I think that we need to start understanding, or Ballard needs to understand is, you can have the understanding that some guys aren't for you. I get it. But when that big name is there and he makes your team better, I think you have to look past a little bit of the personal bias of it.
Yeah, definitely. And even then with free agent and big names, there were when Yannick Ngakoue hit the market, I was absolutely, and seeing what he signed for with the Raiders, I think it was 2 years, $26 million. I was absolutely surprised that we didn't go for him. That's a guy who's 28, has never had less than 8 sacks in a season. You talk about us needing a pass rush. That guy was perfect and wasn't even that expensive. And even then, to play devil's advocate, he says it's not about just like signing anybody. Look at what the Patriots did this year. They completely splashed the market and are back to being serious contenders.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're right. They added weapons and they put guys in places where when you drafted a guy like Mac Jones, you felt confident that he had more weapons around him to make sure that he was comfortable. Now, obviously, the Patriots are not the Patriots that we're used to seeing, but then nevertheless, they're in the playoffs and they're gonna, see some stuff going down, and they're gonna be a team that, going forward, they still are a very respectable team because the way they're ran.
Right, and then last thing on the free agent thing, here's the scary part. He brought back T.Y. Hilton as a last resort. Imagine how more pitiful this offense would be without him.
Yeah, I felt that was more of an Irsay thing because remember they said that the Ballard heard the price tag that was happening, and then Hilton said, I'm probably out the door because I'm going to go to the Ravens. But then Irsay, kind of brought that conversation back to life, sort of thing. So I kind of more on that blame Irsay because Irsay didn't want to let the fan base down by letting go of, this legend. But you're right. What T.Y. Hilton didn't do this year, it really didn't contribute in a lot of different ways. Obviously, he's the leader in the locker room. You understand that, but we're talking about production here. When you talk about the culture that this team says they have, you should be able to now start going for the guys that are giving production, not looking for anyone that's just going to be that, that pump up guy in the locker room every week.
Yeah, but like I said, hopefully this is leading to him, getting ready to do something. Because again, it's like, obviously your way isn't fully working. It's getting some things done, but it's not getting us over that final hump. By all means, honestly, I agree with this statement of, yes, you have to bring in the right guy, but then it's like you said, though, it's like, who is the right guy? Who is your right guy?
Yes, certainly. And I mean, geez, the chat is going crazy just debating Titans. Why is everyone debating Titans? Can we talk about this presser for heaven's sake? Seriously.
Make the layups. The throw from against Arizona was incredible. It was incredible. There might be 2 or 3 other quarterbacks in the league who make it. But let's make the layups. Those highlight throws are great. And look, Carson wants to win. He's got a will to win. And sometimes when you carry that, that burden where you think you got to go make a big play all the time, sometimes you just let's let the team help you. Make the layups. Make the layups.
Yeah, that's going to be the one thing that we talk about all off season. And I know you say you have to go, so I'll let you end on this one. It's something that everyone's been mentioning, and it's the truth. It's just you need to make the layups. A lot of times Carson Wentz is playing hero ball and just makes the dumb throw when, Phillip Rivers last year was very good at dumping it to the running backs or the other wide receivers and just allowing them to make things happen for him. I think that's a concept that Carson, if he's the quarterback this year, has to learn in order for this offense to be more efficient.
Yeah, it's an annoying thing, and I know there's a guy in the chat a while ago who said that the reason why Hines' production fell off is because Wentz doesn't do the dump offs. So, like, you're absolutely right. Hines ate all day because of Rivers. That's how Rivers made Austin Eckler the guy who he is, and it's annoying because, I'll repeat myself again. Wentz didn't need to come in here and be the guy. He just had to come in here and not mess it up. Mm-hmm. Not messing it up means taking a check down. And by all means, it's like you've got one of the better running backs in the league. Let him bail you out sometimes. It's perfectly fine. He needs to have this attitude of, I don't care what I do as long as I win. Instead, like you said, he's trying to play hero ball. He's trying to be the savior. And the way that this team is currently built, especially with the lack of weapons, he doesn't have to be the savior. Just don't mess it up.
Yeah. And, midway through the season, he was doing just that and, was making those good, solid throws down the field. It's just, towards the end of the season, just too many dumb throws and just not the smart ones, and that's going to be something that they're definitely going to have to fix moving forward. But no, I know you say you had to leave. I know you say you're going to go stream here in a second. So I appreciate you hopping on and watching part of this with me.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you having me on. Obviously, hope you guys enjoy the rest of it. By all means, subscribe to them. They do get some good stuff.
Thanks, man. See ya.
See ya.
All right, guys. We will just go ahead and finish this off right here. Let me see if I can just do this. Let me see if I can take this banner off. There we go. I think that looks a little better. I think so.
That's something we got to work through. I got to work through with Frank and the staff.
Here in a few minutes, guys, I'm going to have to get my dinner, so just give me a minute.
It's a good question. So when Andrew was here, no Andrew Luck questions, by the way. Just bring an example.
Everybody laughing. The Andrew Luck's not coming, yeah.
We spent a lot of time with Tom House, accuracy and throwing. It always just kind of made sense to me of where it's not as much of the arm slot as it is the head, and your head gets on and off. And I think when you watch the really accurate quarterbacks in this league, they're really fundamentally sound. So I do think the accuracy can get better. But you got to, you can drill it. But when you get in the game, you usually revert back. Unless it's just been, something that you can really change. So I don't know if I can change. Can it get better? Yes.
Yep, the inconsistencies there. Yeah, I mean that's the one thing we all can agree on. It's a thing that Carson's going to have to get better at if he's going to be the quarterback of the future. And I see a lot of you mentioning Autry in the chat and from all this. Yeah, I was also very mad when the Colts let Autry go. That was one of the big fumbles I felt from the 2020 offseason, 2021 offseason with Ballard. Just felt that he did not do a good job of handling that situation, and I felt we could have done better with it.
Change on the type of people we bring in. That won't change. That's what we stand for.
Changing philosophy, I'm guessing.
Continue to do. And you're right. In 5 years, at 17, I kick out. I mean, it counted, but it is what it is. But over the last 4 years, we've been in the playoffs twice. We've only won one playoff game. We haven't won a division. That's not good enough. Not good enough. We haven't done it. We haven't completed it. At the end of the day, I think we got a lot of really good players and really good pieces. You've got to get stability at the quarterback position. You have to. We have to have stability there, and and that position has to play up to his potential to help the team win. And don't get me wrong here. Don't sit there and I ain't blaming all this on Carson. All right? I'm not. Because everybody else got to do their jobs too. But the hyper importance of that position, it's real. It's real. And you got to get consistency there. And the years we've gotten it, have been pretty good. And we thought we had it until the end of the season. So that's just something we guys continue to work through.
Felt like he's just really taking a lot of shots at these reporters because obviously a lot of people will spin a story based on what he says or doesn't say about Carson Wentz. I think he's having to come to the defense of him while also, critiquing. It's hard to find that balance with what Ballard's trying to get out of it.
Let me say this. So, how to phrase this?
Thank you, Goran.
There's some things that I would tell you, like Taekwon Lewis is a good player. I think when you take we haven't taken any, other than Quiddy this year, which we think Quiddy's going to be really good. He's going to develop and he's going to be good. I feel really good about the pick. Everybody else was in the second round. And, all of a sudden, do we wish they probably would have been a little more productive? Kamoko has the injury issues. I think he ended up with 5.5 sacks this year. Taekwon, unfortunately, this is when you're looking up and your luck's not going right. Taekwon's having a pretty good year. He picks a ball, blows a knee out, he fumbles. We're up 14-0 against Tennessee. And worst case, we're about to go up 17, maybe 21. Next play they score and it's 14-7. Mm-hmm. That's when your luck's not, you're just not getting the right luck at the time. It's something we'll look at, though. to expect the defense, and we just want them to come in and play really good football, be consistent, be part of the wave. You got to have 8 of them. I mean, and I felt as that, I didn't do a good enough job of making sure we consistently had the right 8 this year. Something we'll work on, but you got to have 8 of them. And, to think the next one's going to be the next Dwight Freeney, or Robert Mathis come out of the boat. I don't know if that's always being realistic. Something we should.
There we go. That's kind of him talking about the defensive line and the whole group as a whole not really performing the way you want to. I mean, we've said it multiple times, and a lot of people have said it. Ballard has not done a great job of getting great defensive linemen for this team. The defensive tackle group, we can all agree that Ballard has done a great job at that. But, in this day and age, it's mostly about the edge rush. And, edge rush, we're still looking for that right now. And Ballard hasn't drafted it well, hasn't, addressed it in free agency at all. So, if anything, he let our best one walk last year. So, there's some things that definitely need to be fixed there.
Yeah, but, Taekwon's been a good player for us. And when he's played, he's been good. It's something that we drafted 2 guys last year that we think both got upside, and we like them, and they played pretty good football this year. But we've got to be better rushing the passer. We do. Pascal's a good football player. He had 640 yards a year, or 660 yards. He had over 600 yards 2 years in a row. I know everybody. T.Y. Hilton, he had 750 the year before, and unfortunately, he had the injury. But, you can see, he's still, T.Y. is the smartest football player, I think, one of the smartest I've ever been around. And he still knows how to play. And we got some young players in Patman who made the big play at the end of Arizona. Doolin had his moments of making, some really big plays for us this year. And Michael Strawn has got really good upside. So, I think we got good young talent. I think when we committed, when you look at the number of passes we had, I think when we started to really commit to the run the second half of the season is when you saw some of the production fall off of some of those guys. And then I don't want to take it off like Hines, like Naheem. Naheem's a good player. We got to get him more involved. And we got to get him touches. I think his catch total went from 63 to 38. Right that way. We got to get him involved. So I think when we started committing to the run, some of that production fell off. Some of those guys.
Yeah, we gotta move on from Pascal and Hilton, guys. I don't like that. I love that he's sticking up for him, but something's got to go with that.
Yeah, I haven't talked to T.Y. yet. Okay, so, but I love him. He's an unbelievable Colt. He's an incredible person. He has grown. It's been unbelievable. So, and we have not either one of us have talked or made any decision about what his future is going to be. Jack Doyle and I did talk. He's going to take about a week or two, think it through. He's a very valuable member. He can still play. But at the end of the day, he'll make a decision on what he's going to do going forward. With respect to both of those young men.
Wow.
I don't especially.
So
I don't want to get deep into what our talk was. But we'll know more here in the next couple of weeks.
yeah, that's wow. So only in a couple of weeks, we may know a decision on a bunch of those guys within the next couple of weeks. So y'all being serious about Pascal? One second. Yeah, you're right. He had the piece and the airplane. That's 2 hours though, but you never know. That could be nothing. So See what happens, though. We'll see what happens, but we'll get back to this.
Team's not devoted. I mean, it's not like we're in a startup. We got to start over here. I mean, we got a lot of good players on both sides of the ball, and a lot of them coming back. We'll continue to like what we do every off season, and starting now. Like we evaluate our team. We evaluate every player in our team, A to Z. Everything we're doing, how we're coaching them, evaluate our staff, evaluate what we're doing in every department. All right, then we'll meet and we'll chart our course of where are the areas we think we need to get better, and how are we going to do it? And is it going to be through the draft, or is it going to be through free agency? And that's kind of the same approach we'll take going forward. I mean, I feel good about. I mean, I think the left tackle is what the left tackle is. I mean, we short-term fixed it. We still got to be looking for a long-term solution there.
Short-term fixed it, Ballard.
Again, because if long-term solution doesn't show up, that's what we'll do. But I feel good about our offensive line going forward. Tight end position needs work. We got, depending on what Jack does, Mo Alley's up, and we like Mo. Like to get Mo back. And then we got a young kid in Kylan who we thought showed some things, and he'll continue to grow. And then, at wideout, we'll kind of see how things shake out. But we do got some young players there, and we're, Michael Pittman's we think he's going to even continue to get better as we go forward. We like our runners. On defense, we've got to add to the defensive line. Told you we got to have eight.
Not very big on the tight end group that we have either.
The injury to Blackman, that hurt. That stung.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of you remember now, Blackman was playing good ball. He was playing good football. The game versus Tennessee, where they got after us pretty good up there, I mean, he eliminated a lot of Derek's runs with one-on-one tackles in space. I don't think he had a run over in that game over 12 yards, and a lot of that was because of Blackman. And then at corner, I mean, look, you're always going to be looking to add at corner. But, I didn't think our guys, they played good football. That Rock took another step. Thought Isaiah grew up. Kenny Moore had a really good season. Probably didn't play his best ball at the end, but he played really good football. So the cover's not bare. Like we're not dealing with a bare cover here. I think you still figure. Look, we won. We went 9-8. We didn't finish 5-11. If we just sit here and finish, 5-11, 5-12, I think we'd have a different discussion. We were 9-6 after Christmas. We melted down at the end. So whatever course we take, we'll do whatever we think is the best interest to help us win going forward.
Tight end, edge, and wide receiver. Yeah, those are the big ones.
Where's the head coach? He's the head coach and he's the OC. He's still the head coach and the OC. He'll Frank will have a big say in it.
Well, he's not telling Frank to get rid of play call duties, that's for sure. Do with that as you wish. Yikes.
Well, what I would tell you is I would think that looking at Tennessee, who we have great respect for, Derrick Henry, even though they ended up doing well without him, but, Derrick Henry's kind of led them. I mean, I think, look, you got to find – there's a way to win every game. You figure out the way to win the game, no matter what it is, all right? Y'all might not agree with it, but you find a way to win a game. And if that means we're running it, then that's what we do. If we think that's the best course of action for us to win, that's what we'll do. If it means throwing it 60 times a game, then that's what you do. You do whatever you think is best to win the game. Do I think you can feature – do I think you need to throw the ball to win? Yes, I do. Absolutely. But do I think Jonathan Taylor can be a major focal point? Absolutely. Guy is special, man. Guy is special. What luck. I mean, I wish I could tell you he's a genius, but I mean, you got to get a little luck in this deal now. I mean, we look up and he's still there in the draft in the second round. I mean, it takes a little luck. The guy is tremendous. And I don't think we've seen the best of him. I don't. I think you're good. I think he's going to continue to get better.
Would be very interesting to see Jonathan Taylor get better.
Yes. We've done it. Did it last year. I mean, Taylor had, 1,300 yards last year. I mean, yeah. That's a fair question. That's a good question. And I think the volume did get so big at the end. I don't think it wore it down, but it's something we'll keep an eye on, and make sure that we're balancing out, his carries over time. That's a good question. That's a fair question. I mean, look, Naheem's pretty good. I mean, even when he carries it, y'all watch the Jet game. I mean, he's pretty good, and we got another young.
No, we don't need Ridley, but
that we like.
Ridley would be nice.
And showed real promise. Ended up playing on teams for us. So I wouldn't expect that to be a high priority. All right, so with the pass rush, we did draft 2 young players. Now, I know y'all all want them to be Deacon Jones right off the bat. That ain't real. All right, let's let these young guys develop. They got some good young players there. The left tackle is what the left tackle is. We've got it. We need to find a long-term answer. I wish I could tell you we would. Like I tell y'all every year, I could draft one just to make y'all happy. And y'all be all up. Here's the long-term answer, but it's got to be the right guy. It's no different than quarterbacks. It's got to be the right guy for it to be the long-term answer. So I do think the D-line thing. To me, it comes down to adding more. You need a wave. You got to have 8. And plus to get through the attrition of the season. I mean, Lewis was a big loss for us because what he was able to do inside outside for us. I mean. And he was really coming on and playing really good football. So that's something we got to continue to work on.
No, he didn't confirm Fisher's out, but he didn't necessarily mention what he was going to do with that spot. But he just said the position is what the position is right now. So yeah, UCF Jaguar in here, y'all. This man sounds frustrated. Yeah, he probably is frustrated. He probably very much is frustrated.
They're hard positions to fill. I mean, they are. That's real.
Probably frustrated at the fact that he has to deal with it, but frustrated dealing with it in the way that he has to now.
No, good players, man. I mean, we weren't perfect. I mean, I definitely got my hand in this.
I can't fix the volume much more, guys. Ballard's just away from the mic.
You do a good job. And I mean, I think you can tell Bruce is interviewing in a couple places, so people are noticing, the work he's doing. So no, the 7 Pro Bowlers, that's great. Those are individual honors. At the end of the day, team. Like team. We have 10. It wouldn't matter. I mean, it comes down to winning, getting in the playoffs, and having a chance to go win a Super Bowl. We didn't get that done. Not right now, but we're still evaluating. We're still working through all that. There's a lot of change, going on through the league. So you just give us a little time. We're evaluating. We'll work through that.
All right, guys. So I'm going to pause this real quick. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I am going to go get food. I have food here, and I'm going to go grab it. Had to make dinner. So I will be right back. We will be streaming this here in a second. I'm going to bring my food down, so I'm only going to be gone for a few minutes. I'm going to put the banner up just so that way. Quick break for you guys. Again, I'll be back in just a minute or two. So don't worry. I'm going to be back real quick. Just give me a few minutes here and let me get my food, and we'll be back and we'll react to this a little more. Thank you, guys. I'm back, guys. Thank you. Thank you for being patient. We'll go ahead and start listening to this again while I eat my food. Thank you, guys. Get this banner off real quick. There we go.
I don't think he might have to undergo a procedure, but it's not major. No, it's not a major. I don't coming out of the game and out of the season. I don't know if we have. Shouldn't have been on top of my head. I don't think we have any major, anything major, which is good. I hope I'm not wrong.
Thank you.
I think that you got to be able to get the ball out of your hands quickly, and that's sometimes why it's so hard to rush the passer in this league because offenses they get the ball out. You got to be able to get the ball out and take the easy completion when it comes, and that is a big part of Frank's offense. I think last year we were the run after catch. We got guys that are good after the catch. They're good players after the catch. Naheem's good at it. Pittman's good at it. Zach's been good at it. These guys are good after the catch. So we got to be able to get them the ball where they can, when you get it to them quick, get it in their hands quickly, and let them use their size and strength or their quickness to get yards down the field. I think the one thing, and I've said this every year to y'all, like we spread the ball. In this offense, they spread the ball around. And that's been the case every year. It's probably a little more unusual this year. Usually the ball gets spread around pretty good.
Kind of throwing a few questions there at Wentz and how they move the football around.
I won't use that as it hit us. It hit everybody. Everybody was dealing with it. I think it's a possibility, maybe, but every team's dealing with it.
I think they were talking about the COVID cases.
That's a good question. We lost really two good vets in Justin and D'Amico. Good players, good people, good fits. It'll be under consideration. Yeah. Good head coach. He's good football coach. Really only had the one losing season in 7-9, which was my doing, not his. We played with. We've had different quarterback, every year, and we still find a way to be really competitive and a good football team. So I think he's really good as a head coach. And I think anybody that questions
DJ, I'm excited about it.
This guy's good. He's a leader. He has a plan. He's flexible. He's aggressive, but also knows when to dial it back. Lucky to have him. We're lucky. I promise you, we're lucky to have Frank Reich.
Well, anyone's wondering about Reich, y'all know the feelings about him now from the rest of the organization. Doesn't sound like Reich's going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Number one, did they score a bunch of points against us? I think we finished 9th in the league in scoring. That's number one. Like you can look at all them stats. All those other stats, sacks, yards of 10, did they score? Did they score? Do I want it a little better? Yeah. But I think we finished in the last 2 years in the top 10. There's things we need to be better at. Okay, we need to affect the passer. I thought when we started playing more man-to-man defense down the stretch and more match, the completion percentage and the quarterback's QBR rating wasn't quite as high as it was early in the season. And that's something I know Flus is looking into. And those are things we definitely got to get better at. We were pretty good with the explosives this year. I think we finished 8th and 9th in the league. So better. But we've got to, and we took the ball away. Like, I can't, that's a big thing. Go ahead. At the end, there was. Look more. We need to get a stop. But I think it all plays hand in hand. Like against Tampa, we need to get the stop. And versus Jacksonville, we do get it. We get the sack. To win it. And I think that evens out over time. But I think it goes both ways. Like, all right, let me give you an example. So, like, there's always these leverage points in the game that are big leverage points. We got a chance to win it. So, Raider game, bad first half, but we come out and I think we take I think we go up 17-14. Darius makes a great interception. We got the ball on the +40 going in. We get no points. Like that was a huge leverage point in the game where we got a chance to put a dagger in them and we didn't do it. It was there. We didn't do it. So understand at the end of games, but sometimes you got to take advantage of those leverage points so it doesn't get to that at the end of the game. But yeah, that's when you need to finish. We got to do a better 2 and 5 in 1-score games. I mean, we got to do a better job finding out a solution of how we finish these games. That's always an influence, but Mike Bloom, we've done a really good job in that area. And Mike Bloom is outstanding at his job, and we got plenty of room. He's done great work with our cap. It's good. It's a really good question. I'd like to quit band-aiding it. I'd like for Carson to be the long-term answer, or find somebody's going to be here for the next 10 to 12 years. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, man. I mean, I can dream about it, wish about it, do everything I can to figure out the solution, but you do the best at what you can do at the time that you have to make a decision. That's how you do it.
Yep. Said there, not committed to Wentz right away.
That's a great question. I ain't thought of it. That's a great question. I mean, twice since I've been here, we're 1 and 5. We bounce back, make plays. We're 1 and 4. Everybody's got a dagger in us, and man, and the stretch wasn't going to get easy. Like in that stretch, you've got New England, you got Buffalo, you got Tampa, you got Arizona. I mean, it's a stretch where the season could go. All of a sudden you're finishing the game 4 or 5 wins. I don't know.
So I assume he's talking about. What these slow starts mean to the team. I think that's probably what this is referring to.
Being honest, I don't have an answer, but you made me think. So maybe our next time we talk, I'll have a better answer for that. But that's a good question, and something that we probably need to think through. Yeah, we'll work. With these contracts, we'll work through it. Look, Quentin's a Colt. Want him to be a Colt long term, but when we do the contract, we'll work through that. we all shared in the frustration. It was the first time, so we landed, and then we drove right to Jim's office, and we met and had a really good discussion for about an hour and a half. Look, I talk to Mr. Ursa after every game. I don't meet in his office after every game. So Jim wants to win. I mean, I'll never work for a great owner, man. He cares about this city, wants to do well. He's competitive. He's prideful. And I handle Nash Jones well, because I promise you, as hard as he is on me, I'm every bit as hard. And I don't run away when I screw it up or I have a problem. I got to fix it. Like, it's okay to sit up here and admit when you're wrong, but freak, you got to go fix the damn thing, or they'll find somebody else to fix it.
Absolutely right. Some things that need to be fixed, or else somebody else does that job for you.
We still, philosophically, this is what I love about it. Philosophically, we agree on how teams should be built, unequivocally. And what we got to do is find a way to be more consistent, where every time I think we're there, we go 11-5, we lose a really tough playoff game, and I think we're there. And then the next year we do something to not get back and to get a consistent playoff run going. That's what I've got to figure out. That's my job. I love his passion. I love working for him. And he cares. I'd rather work for somebody that cares and is up front, instead of, you look around the league and leagues, and no, man, if you got an issue, let's deal with the issue, in front of each other, and let's not leak it to the media. Let's not, play these. I don't deal in it. I'm not good in a world like that. I need the truth. When I'm not doing it good enough, tell me, and let's find a way to fix it and see how I can improve.
All right, I'm going to go get some more food here in a second, but Ballard basically talking about, the kind of man that Irsay is there and how the team should be ran. I think that it's important that we remember that. And I remember seeing somebody's comment here a second ago talking about Kwity Paye and Dio being better this next year because they're going to have more time. I agree completely. Just how much better, that's going to be the question. But I'm going to go get some more food here real quick, guys. Be back in a few seconds here. Let me just stop sharing here for a second. Like I said, I'll be back in just 2 minutes. We're back. All right, let's share the screen again. I can eat my food and listen to the last 15 minutes of this.
We got good young players. Y'all didn't ever think Pittman was going to be really good, and all of a sudden he's pretty good. I remember y'all questioning that. Well, I don't know if he's year we're trying to upgrade every position. Would I like two or three dynamic? Absolutely. Absolutely would. But I think we've got some good young players to work with. So I guess we'll see what happens here, going forward. Just wasn't ready. Really talented guy now. I mean, and we got high hopes for him. But I think the year off, not playing, small school, the adjust, like I'll tell you the one position that I think is hard when you come into the league is wide out, because one, these corners are really good. And then the D coordinators are really good disguising the coverage. And then in our offense, the adjustments that you have to make on the run, that it just was all new to him. Like him, got upside. He's got a bright future. And we'll see. This will be a big offseason. Let me just tell you this. And this falls on Frank and I. And the uncertainty of last year affected it, but we will have an offseason. You can bet on that. They don't want to show up, fine, but we're gonna be here. And, guys that want to win are gonna be here. I mean, we're gonna have an offseason. I'm not there yet, Bob. I mean, we lost a tough game to Las Vegas. And then we got our ass beat by Jacksonville. I mean, I wish I had an answer for you right now, and I don't. I feel better about the answer for Vegas, because it's like I talked about earlier. There's some leverage points in the game that we just didn't take advantage of, and we let them hang around, and then they made a play at the end. The effort in Jacksonville.
You can see it on Colts Twitter. That's where this place is. You can see the stream that they had earlier.
I wish I could. I don't. Being honest, I don't have it. We got our ass beat.
Neither can I, just chilling.
Oh, you had 53. You wanted to ask. I give y'all this time, man. COVID, the indecision, all the stuff we're having to do with COVID, the guys waiting outside. I mean, we just couldn't get our heads wrapped around it. Looking back on it, we probably should have been more flexible and found a way to do it. Is that an excuse of why? No. But I think you need to, I think every step along the way matters. I think off-season matters. I think OTAs matter. I think that time between the summer, getting ready, training camp, every step of the way matters. Is there a little different way we could probably, maybe do OTAs and stuff to make sure everybody stays? I mean, look, the goal is to be healthy going into the season. Yeah, so we'll work through that. But you've got to be together. You got to work. This game, it takes what it takes to win. It does. I told the team this the other day. It takes what it takes. There's no magic pill for winning. There's not a magic pill we can all take and make everything good. It takes sacrifice, it takes accountability, it takes discipline, it takes coming together as a team. All that shit matters. And if anything, if any of it's all, it's it's Coach Dungeon. It's death by inches, man. Death by inches. And that's why we got to figure out why we bled out in Jacksonville. We got to figure that out.
Again, a very animated Chris Ballard, more animated than what I'm used to seeing. Definitely can tell he's taking this one to heart.
Look, it sucked. Our guys, I'll give our guys credit. They worked their ass But at the end of the day, down the stretch, I mean, got us. And they worked hard to try to avoid it. But unfortunately, this new variant doesn't, you can try to avoid it all you want. It got us. But look, that's not, every team's dealing with it. And I know the unvaccinated part. Would I rather everybody had been vaccinated? Absolutely. I think we were pretty clear on that. They chose not to, and they did all they could to avoid it. But at the end of the day, it ended up getting us at the end.
No indication of any personal changes yet. Just a couple of shots thrown at a couple positions that they're not committed to right now for certain players that are at that position. So,
well, I mean, all right. So let's go down the list here. So Phillip, okay, Carson, Fisher. Who else? Good coaches. Good coaches. Yeah, they're good football coaches. I don't know if that's a fair assessment that we're just bringing in people. I mean, sure, me and Jonathan Taylor went to University of Wisconsin, but that didn't have any influence on. I mean, you'd have drafted him if it wouldn't matter. I mean, I'll say this. Frank didn't have any connection with Strauss. Pretty good football coach. He didn't have any connection with Eberflus. That worked out pretty good. I mean, you're always going to have some type of connection with somebody in the building. Ed Dodds and I have a relationship for 30-something years, but no one else on the staff did. I mean, Morocco. But they're all really qualified. This is not nepotism. This is not cronyism going on. No, we don't. Look, we all got to perform. Everybody's getting evaluated. Okay? Well, look, do I think they're both qualified? Absolutely. They're talented. I mean, I tell you, I'm lucky. We got a very talented group. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Tell me one team in the league is perfect in evaluations. We're not perfect, but these guys are really talented. They're more than capable. They're going to be GMs at some point. I think they'll both be very patient. They know that they love working here. We love working together. We all grow. We all make each other better. There's nothing better. I was talking to you yesterday, like the title, like when you walk in my office, it says general manager. But that's not, like, you earn respect, not because of the title. You earn respect because of the work you do and how you treat people. But getting people, that's why I don't mind y'all. I mean, at least I know you'll be honest and you'll give it to me. Like, because of the title, getting people to really tell you what they think, that's what our guys will do. Like, none of our guys are afraid to challenge. Like, even when it sucks and I don't want to hear it, and I don't want to, I'm in one of those moods that day and I just want to shut my door and watch tape, they'll tell me what they think. That's valuable. That's very valuable. And, we don't have to agree. That's okay. But usually you come to the good solution. You'll come to good solutions and good decision making when you have that. And I think both of those guys are very valuable in that area, and why they're going to be really good, GMs. Now it comes down to fit. A lot of competition in them. There's only 32 of these jobs, but both of them are excellent.
Sure, he was talking about Dodds and a couple other people in his scouting department. Do a great job over there.
I mean, like this league, like 3-4, 4-3. I mean, my whole thing with the 3-4. I mean, everybody ends up in nickel dime defense anyways. I mean, you end up with a 4-man front. I mean, that's where you end up. So no, I mean, look, Frank and I this Thursday we'd talk through it, figure out which way we wanted to go. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't have to be from a specific.
I might, DJ. I might do some of that Sunday. Carl, you can find it on Twitter. The Colts Twitter page has it.
4 years in a row, right here. Have we been in the top 10 every year since Flus has been here? Tell me if I'm wrong. And then when I was in Chicago, if you go through from a stretch from 2005 to 2012, similar defense, similar style, we were up there. I think 1 year we had an off year. I think it was 2008. But we've been in that rank. I think, like I said, 33 might be the outlier number, but I think the way we play, the players we have, the way they strip at the ball, I think we'll, you can go off some, but we're pretty good at it. We've been in the 20s every year since Flus has been here.
I don't know if that's a Flus thing. I think that's more of just the mentality of the defense due to Darius Leonard.
Go back to process. We'll go back to do what we do. Now, because let me tell you something. You start changing and don't go back to the things you believe in and process you believe in, then what do you really believe in anyway? What do you believe in?
Only another minute or two left of this conference here, guys, and then
Why
we'll.
would you move a Hall of Fame left guard to left tackle?
Well,
That just makes no sense to me.
there you
Makes
go.
No sense.
That's
He's not, and look, he's got ways to go to be a Hall of Fame player. But why would you move a great player to left tackle?
there you go. That answers it right there. No Nelson to left tackle, at least not right now. Not even crossing Ballard's mind.
I give our pro staff a lot of credit for Pryor. That was a good trade for us, just flipping picks, getting him at the cut down. No, we like Matt. And let me say this about Eric. I know he at the end, the pass pro stuff, he had some struggles, but
Colts Twitter.
he fights his ass off to get back off an Achilles. Ends up playing pretty decent football without an off season, without being here. Really good in the run game. We're asking him to do different things from a pass protection standpoint that he really didn't get a chance to work on. And look, I think Fish will tell you that there's moments in pass pro that he should be better. But Fish got a lot of good football left.
That'll be an interesting one going forward there.
Good question. No, I think we're good. And Darius worked his ass off too. And he played, I think you saw it early in the season. He wasn't quite right, but he was fighting through and playing. And but no, it doesn't look like it at this point. And no, both of them, it looks like at this point, both of them have been there. I know Quentin is. Quentin's good for coming into it healthy and in good shape. Doing good. I'm not going to make that. Come on, man. How many injuries have we been through?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well. He's doing well, though. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. All right. Appreciate y'all.
All right, well, that's the end of the presser there. I guess, like a lot of people guessed, there wasn't going to be a ton of splashes. The talks of moving him to left tackle, I think Ballard just shot that one down for Q. He's definitely staying at left guard. So, and the debate on, key players, like Fisher and Wentz, still not a lot to really go off of there. Obviously, some guys needing to be held accountable, but Ballard's still having faith in those guys, so makes sense. But I'm going to remove this. There we go. So yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see where things go from here. We saw that guys like Hilton and Doyle could potentially have their decision on whether or not they want to return or not within a month. That'll be interesting to find out. It was a very animated Ballard for sure. He's never been afraid to use language, but he talking about how they got their asses kicked and they got the shit kicked out of them. And I mean, he wasn't letting it certainly wasn't letting it slide. I'm sure the emotion is still at a very all-time high for him. Obviously, he wasn't expecting to have this kind of press conference this early. So my favorite part was it takes what it takes. Yeah. You're right. I mean, there is no magic wand. There is no way to actually know what it takes, but you just have to figure out what that is to make it that way. So, guys, and like I said, you can watch this stream back over to watch it again if you want to. You can certainly watch it on Colts Twitter. That's where I was watching this. I didn't get a chance to see it when it first came out, but I'm glad that I'm actually seeing more of it. Like I said, just there's a lot more to get done for this team. And, Ballard's got some decisions to make. And, it seems like he's still going to keep that same mind frame of being the level-headed guy. But, we'll see if he makes some changes to his philosophy and what he's seen. But thank you guys again so much for tuning into this stream. Wasn't even sure we were going to have it today, but I'm glad I got to do it. Glad I got to hang out with you guys. Greatly appreciate you all supporting the channel and supporting the Colts. Thank you all so much. And as always, go Colts.